The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. Across hundreds of star systems, life continued as usual, or as usual as it could be, under the watchful eye of the Vorath Empire. For centuries, the Vorath had expanded their control, moving from system to system with terrifying efficiency. Worlds fell before them not because of lack of courage, but because no civilization could match their sheer power. Entire planets became empty husks, stripped of resources and life. Then, one day, the Galactic Council sent a call across the stars. It was an urgent message, broadcast in every language and protocol known to the member species. Help us. The Vorath are coming. We cannot stop them alone. Many races hesitated. They studied the message, calculated risks, and debated endlessly. Some had advanced fleets, but lacked the courage to face the Vorath. Others had once fought back only to be crushed in a single battle. Fear spread quickly, more contagious than any virus. Messages returned from countless worlds said the same thing. We cannot help. We will protect ourselves. Earth received the call too. For humans, the message was strange but impossible to ignore. Humanity was young on the galactic stage, having only recently achieved interstellar travel. Their fleets were small, their weapons modest, and their experience almost non-existent. Yet there was something in humans that no one else seemed to have. Curiosity, courage, and a refusal to turn away when others cried for help. At the United Nations Space Alliance headquarters in Geneva, leaders debated the message late into the night. Some ministers argued that responding was too dangerous. We are not ready, they said. We have barely explored our own system. The Vorath are beyond our strength. But others saw a different path. If we do nothing, we will live in fear. If we act, even a little, we can make a difference, said Commander Ilara Singh, one of humanity's most skilled strategists and pilots. She had fought in Earth's orbital defenses and led exploratory missions to distant planets. Her voice was calm but firm, carrying a quiet confidence that drew attention. After long discussions, a decision was made. Humanity would respond. Not because they were strong enough to win, but because they could not stand by while entire civilizations were in danger. Humanity's first interstellar relief fleet was formed. A small but determined armada of ships carrying supplies, medics, engineers, and soldiers. Ilara was chosen to lead. She studied the maps of the affected systems, noting the planets that had sent the most desperate messages. Each was a world on the brink of collapse. Some had lost their population to war. Others had been ravaged by Vorath technology that drained resources at an unnatural speed. The humans did not know what awaited them, but they were ready to face it. The fleet's departure was a historic moment. Earth's population gathered to watch, their hearts full of hope and anxiety. Children waved, families held hands, and old veterans saluted as ships lifted off into the black. Humanity was stepping into a galaxy that had mostly ignored them, and they knew the path ahead would test every skill, every ounce of courage they possessed. As the fleet traveled through the first few systems, the crew faced their first reality check. Space was vast and unforgiving. Navigating through asteroid fields, surviving radiation storms, and avoiding Vorath patrols required constant focus. Engineers worked tirelessly to maintain the ships, while medics prepared for the wounded they hoped they would not see yet. Every challenge, however, strengthened the team. Humans were adaptable. They learned quickly and solved problems with creativity that surprised even themselves. The first glimpse of the war-torn system shocked them. Planets that had once been beautiful, thriving worlds were now gray and lifeless. Cities lay in ruins, their structures broken and twisted, and the few survivors they found were frightened and distrustful. Communication was difficult. Some species had no words for the horrors they had witnessed. Yet, humanity persevered. They brought food, water, medical aid, and protective technology that allowed small colonies to defend themselves from remaining Vorath forces. Ilara worked tirelessly, coordinating teams across multiple planets. She met with alien leaders, showing them how to repair defenses and care for their wounded. She listened to their stories, learning about their struggles and the tragedies they had endured. Humanity did not come to conquer or to rule. They came to help, and that simple act of empathy created bonds that had never existed before. But not all was calm. One morning, as the fleet patrolled the edge of a destroyed system, a strange signal arrived. It was from the Vorath themselves. The message was simple but terrifying. Do not interfere. Your presence is irrelevant. Retreat or be destroyed. The human commanders gathered immediately. Some feared it was a trap, while others worried that the fleet was too small to survive a direct confrontation. Yet Alara remained calm. She understood the importance of showing strength. Retreat was not in humanity's nature. We are here to help, she said firmly. We will not run from those who threaten the innocent. The galaxy called for aid, and we answered. That is enough. Despite the warning, humans continued their mission. They split into smaller groups to reach more planets, using speed and coordination to avoid direct confrontation while maximizing the help they could provide. On one planet, they helped rebuild a city's energy grid. On another, they organized evacuation routes for species trapped by Vorath patrols. Every act, no matter how small, brought hope to those who had almost given up. The humans faced unexpected challenges. Alien technology was often confusing, with systems far more advanced or entirely different from anything humans had seen. Communication barriers caused mistakes and delays, and everywhere they went, the shadow of the Vorath hung over them, a constant reminder that danger was never far away. Yet through it all, humans adapted. Engineers reverse-engineered alien devices, medics learned new biological systems, and soldiers developed tactics that combined intuition with advanced technology. Even within the fleet, bonds formed quickly. Crew members from different nations, backgrounds, and experiences learned to trust one another in ways they had never done on Earth. Children and young adults who had trained for space missions found themselves on the front lines, learning to balance fear with courage. The stories of individual heroism began to spread across the fleet. A medic who saved dozens under fire, an engineer who repaired a failing shield just in time, a pilot who sacrificed safety to protect civilians. These stories inspired others and strengthened the belief that humanity could face even the most terrifying threats. Weeks passed, and humanity's presence became known across the war-torn systems. Refugees whispered stories of the humans who refused to leave, who fought not for power but for life itself. Small alien groups began to coordinate with the humans, sharing resources and intelligence. Slowly, hope returned where it had long been absent. The galaxy, which had doubted humanity's abilities, began to notice their courage. As the fleet approached the central sector where the Vorath presence was strongest, tension mounted. Scouts reported enormous enemy forces, far larger than anything the humans had faced. The Vorath had detected the fleet and were mobilizing to crush it. Many alien allies considered retreat, fearing total destruction. But the humans did not falter. If we leave now, we abandon everything we have helped to build, Alara said. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. That is why we are here. That is who we are. The part ends with the fleet positioned on the edge of a devastated star system. The Vorath armada looms in the distance, a dark wave of ships that seems endless. Yet amidst the fear and uncertainty, humans stand ready. Their courage, compassion, and determination shine as a beacon for the galaxy. The message is clear. Even a young species can rise to meet impossible odds. Even when no one else steps forward, humanity will. And so, the first chapter of this story closes, not with the clash of battle, but with the quiet promise of what is to come, a species willing to fight, to protect, and to shine in a galaxy that desperately needs hope. The Vorath armada appeared on the edge of the system like a dark storm. Millions of ships, all moving with terrifying precision, blocked the stars. They were massive, cold, and unyielding, each vessel designed to crush anything in its path. Many species had fled before such power. Many would have surrendered without a fight, but humanity did not. Commander Ilara Singh, stood on the bridge of the flagship Hope's Light, her eyes fixed on the massive Vorath formation. Around her, officers coordinated communications, scanned enemy positions, and prepared the fleet for the coming battle. Despite their small numbers, the humans were not afraid, not because they were fearless, but because they were determined. "Our ships are ready," said Lieutenant Marcus Hale, the fleet's chief tactical officer. "Shields are at full capacity, weapons are armed, and support teams are ready. We can hold them for some time. But if they break through, they won't," Alara interrupted firmly. "Not if we fight together. Not if we use our strengths. We may be smaller, but we are faster, smarter, and more unpredictable. We adapt. They don't." The Vorath struck first. Massive energy beams lanced through space, tearing apart the front lines of human ships. Explosions lit the void like distant suns, and alarms blared across the fleet. Panic could have taken hold, but the humans acted with calm precision. Medics rushed to injured crew, engineers repaired shields under fire, and pilots maneuvered through the chaos with skill born from Earth's orbital simulations. Humans fought differently than the Vorath expected. Their ships moved unpredictably, weaving between enemy fire, using gravity wells and asteroid fields to hide, striking from unexpected angles. Where the Vorath relied on sheer force, humans relied on creativity, intuition, and teamwork. A small group of fighters flanked a Vorath cruiser, disabling its engines with precision attacks, then vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Alara coordinated every movement from the bridge, her mind racing faster than any computer. She issued commands, reassigned ships, and even personally piloted a strike craft to rescue a group of alien civilians trapped on a destroyed planet. Her actions inspired her crew. They saw a leader who was not afraid to face danger alongside them. They saw someone who believed in humanity's strength even against impossible odds. The battle raged for hours. Across multiple star systems, humans engaged the Vorath in skirmishes that tested their limits. Engineers improvised new weapons, combining human technology with captured Vorath equipment. Soldiers worked with alien allies, teaching them tactics to defend their worlds and repair critical systems. Civilians also played a role, operating support ships, medical stations, and communication relays that kept the fleet coordinated despite the chaos. In one desperate moment, a Vorath ship broke through the human defenses and headed toward a colony planet. Alara made a split-second decision. She led a squadron of fast fighters directly at the Vorath vessel, dodging its energy beams with daring maneuvers. Using human ingenuity, they created a chain reaction that disabled the ship's energy core without destroying the civilians below. It was a small victory, but it showed the galaxy that humans could act where others would hesitate. Meanwhile, on planets under attack, human medics worked tirelessly. They treated alien injuries they had never seen before, learning quickly and adapting their methods. Engineers restored vital energy grids and water supplies, often under heavy fire. Children and volunteers helped coordinate safe evacuations. Every human action sent a message. Humanity did not fight for conquest, for resources, or for power. They fought to protect life. Across the galaxy, alien races began to notice. Small fleets that had once hidden now joined the humans. Refugee populations began to rebuild, inspired by the courage and determination of their unexpected allies. The simple act of helping others, something humans often took for granted on Earth, became a powerful weapon against fear and oppression. As night fell over the central system, the battle reached its peak. The Vorath launched their heaviest assault, concentrating their forces to crush the human fleet once and for all. Explosions shook the vacuum of space, and even the bravest human pilots felt the weight of despair. Yet Alara remained calm. She gathered her officers and spoke with quiet authority. "We have faced impossible odds before," she said. "We adapt. We survive. And we protect. We are humanity. And humanity never gives up." Her words ignited the fleet. Human ships moved with precision, striking Vorath formations from multiple directions. Engineers repurposed alien energy weapons, using them in ways the Vorath had never imagined. Pilots coordinated attacks that relied on instinct, intuition, and teamwork rather than rigid protocols. The Vorath had prepared for force, but they were unprepared for creativity, unpredictability, and compassion. A turning point came when a Vorath dreadnought targeted a group of civilian ships. A squadron of human fighters, led by Alara herself, raced toward the massive enemy ship. Using clever maneuvers, they drew the dreadnought into a trap. Human engineers on nearby support ships overloaded the Vorath vessel's energy core, causing a chain reaction that destroyed it without harming the civilians. Cheers erupted across the fleet, a rare sound in the midst of war. Humanity's resilience was contagious. Alien fleets that had once hesitated now fought alongside them. Inspired by the humans' courage, small victories multiplied, and the Vorath began to realize that the young species from Earth was more dangerous than they had expected, not because of weapons or numbers, but because humans refused to surrender to fear. In the middle of the chaos, Alara found a quiet moment to speak with her second-in-command, Lieutenant Hale. "They underestimate us," she said. "They think fear makes the strongest army. They don't understand that hope, determination, and courage are stronger than any weapon." Hale nodded. "And they've just learned that the hard way." The battle continued into the next day. Human adaptability allowed them to hold critical positions, rescue trapped civilians, and protect strategic planets. Each action was small, but together they formed a chain of resistance the Vorath could not easily break. Human ingenuity shone in unexpected ways. Engineers converted damaged ships into mobile shield generators. Pilots used wormhole simulations to perform surprise attacks. Medics discovered ways to treat alien injuries with human medical knowledge, saving lives that would have been lost. Every small success was a step toward proving that even a young, inexperienced species could make a difference. By the third day, the Vorath began to retreat. Not entirely defeated, but shaken. Their arrogance had been their weakness. No race had ever stood against them with such persistence, courage, and unity. Human creativity and empathy had turned the tide in ways the Vorath could not anticipate. Alara looked across the fleet as the enemy pulled back. The victory was hard-won. Ships were damaged, lives had been lost, and the scars of battle were visible across the system. Yet humanity had proven something extraordinary. They could stand against the galaxy's greatest threat and protect those who could not protect themselves. Celebrations were quiet but heartfelt. Alien allies expressed gratitude, and humans quietly returned to repair ships, tend to the wounded, and plan the next phase of operations. Alara knew the war was far from over. The Vorath would regroup, adapt, and return. But humanity had shown that even a young species could rise to meet unimaginable challenges. News of the humans' bravery spread across nearby systems. Stories of individual heroism, clever tactics, and compassion inspired other species. A culture of hope began to form where fear had once reigned. Humanity's presence was no longer a small fleet in the void, they were a symbol. A symbol that even when the galaxy hesitated, even when civilizations faltered, courage and empathy could prevail. As the fleet prepared to move deeper into Vorath-controlled territory, Alara addressed her crew. "We are not here to dominate. We are here to protect, to help, to inspire. The galaxy has called for aid, and we have answered. This is only the beginning." The human fleet moved forward with renewed determination. They had faced fear, fought a superior enemy, and proven that hope and courage could shine in the darkest hours. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had sent a clear message. Even in the face of impossible odds, they would step forward. They would not turn away. And so, the second chapter of humanity's journey in the stars ended not with the defeat of the Vorath, but with the undeniable proof that humans could stand alone and still make a difference. The galaxy had called for aid, and only humanity had answered. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. After days of skirmishes and small victories, the Vorath had gathered their full force in the central sector. Their armada was massive, far larger than anything humanity had faced. Yet the humans did not flinch. They had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Commander Alara Singh stood on the bridge of the flagship Hope's Light, watching the enemy lines stretch across the stars. Her crew, weary but resolute, prepared for the battle that could decide the fate of countless civilizations. Around them, allied fleets of smaller species joined the humans, inspired by the bravery they had witnessed. Alara addressed her officers, her voice calm but commanding. This is not just about firepower. The Vorath rely on strength, numbers, and fear. We rely on courage, creativity, and unity. We fight not just to win, but to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We show the galaxy that fear is not the only power that exists. The humans' plan was simple in principle, but daring in execution. They would divide the Vorath fleet, striking at weak points while protecting civilian planets. Engineers had prepared adaptive shields and mobile energy platforms. Pilots trained for maneuvers that combined speed, instinct, and unpredictability. Medics and support crews stood ready to save lives, both human and alien. The first wave of battle began at dawn. Vorath ships fired massive energy beams that sliced through space, targeting human and allied vessels alike. Explosions lit the void, shaking the fleet with each impact. Human pilots darted between attacks, weaving through debris and asteroid fields. Striking from angles the Vorath had not anticipated. Alara herself led a strike squadron toward a cluster of Vorath dreadnoughts. Using quick maneuvers, they bypassed the main cannons and targeted the ship's vulnerable support cores. Within minutes, 2 dreadnoughts were disabled, their energy grids overloaded by a combination of human weapons and clever engineering. Meanwhile, human engineers demonstrated another strength: adaptability. They converted damaged ships into mobile repair stations and energy shields, keeping frontline vessels operational despite relentless enemy fire. Medics treated injuries from dozens of species, learning alien anatomies in hours and saving lives that others would have abandoned. Every human action sent a clear message. They fought not for power, but to protect life. The Vorath were taken aback. No other species had ever fought like this. Their rigid strategies, based on overwhelming force, were useless against humans who thought, adapted, and acted faster than they could predict. Small groups of human ships flanked massive Vorath vessels, striking with precision and disappearing before the enemy could respond. In the midst of battle, Alara received a distress call from a civilian planet under siege. Vorath warships were targeting population centers, and evacuation routes were blocked. Without hesitation, she led a squadron of fighters to intervene. Using clever maneuvers and a temporary energy shield, the humans cleared paths for evacuation ships to escape. Children, elders, and families were saved thanks to their daring and quick thinking. Stories of individual heroism spread across the fleet. Lieutenant Marcus Hale and his team repaired a critical warp gate under heavy fire, allowing Allied reinforcements to arrive. Medics coordinated emergency triage centers in space stations above devastated worlds. Engineers repurposed alien weapons to create new defenses in hours, something the Vorath had never anticipated. Every small victory combined into a force that began to turn the tide. The decisive moment came when the Vorath flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons, targeted the heart of the human fleet. Its cannons fired in sweeping arcs, threatening to destroy everything in a single strike. Alara took a deep breath, knowing that the next decision could determine the outcome of the war. She gathered her top pilots and outlined a bold plan. We cannot destroy them with force alone. We must outthink them, outmaneuver them, and work together as one. This is our moment. Show the galaxy what humanity can do. The humans executed the plan flawlessly. While some ships engaged the flagship directly, a group of engineers and pilots exploited its energy grid vulnerabilities. Mobile platforms and support ships amplified attacks in a coordinated strike that disabled key systems without destroying the vessel entirely. Alara led the final approach in a fast strike craft, navigating through a storm of enemy fire to deliver a precise energy surge that caused the flagship systems to shut down. The Vorath flagship faltered, and with it, the morale of the enemy fleet. Ships that had once advanced confidently now hesitated, unsure of what humans might do next. Using this moment, humans and allied fleets pressed forward, reclaiming control of critical systems and protecting civilian populations. Across the galaxy, the effects were immediate. Alien species that had once hidden or hesitated now joined the fight. They rebuilt defenses, coordinated attacks, and learned human tactics. The simple act of fighting with courage, protecting others, and refusing to yield inspired hope that had been lost for centuries. Ilara watched as her crew worked tirelessly. Pilots returned from dangerous runs, engineers repaired ships in record time, and medics treated the wounded. Even in exhaustion, humanity's determination never wavered. Every individual understood that their actions mattered, not for glory, but for life itself. By the third day, the Vorath began to retreat. Not entirely defeated, but shaken and uncertain. They had underestimated humans, thinking a young species could be ignored, controlled, or destroyed. But the humans had proved that courage, adaptability, and compassion could be stronger than any weapon or fleet. Victory was hard won. Many ships were damaged, many lives were lost. But humanity had achieved something extraordinary. They had protected countless civilians, inspired alien allies, and shown the galaxy that even a young species could rise to face the greatest threat. Ilara addressed her fleet after the battle. "We have done more than survive. We have proven that courage, intelligence, and compassion are the greatest strengths in the galaxy. We have fought not for conquest, but for life, and that is why we prevail." The humans did not celebrate with fireworks or triumphal displays. Instead, they repaired ships, rebuilt colonies, and cared for the wounded. Their actions spoke louder than words. Across the galaxy, stories of humanity's courage spread like wildfire. They were no longer just a young species from a small blue planet. They were a symbol of hope. Weeks later, the Galactic Council convened to discuss the outcome. Species that had once hesitated now acknowledged humanity's role in turning the tide. Plans were made to strengthen alliances, share knowledge, and prepare for future threats. Humanity's name was spoken with respect and admiration, not as conquerors, but as protectors. Ilara reflected on the journey. The galaxy was still dangerous, and the Vorath were not gone. But humanity had shown something far greater than military might. They had shown that courage, unity, and compassion could change the course of events even against overwhelming odds. Children born on newly liberated worlds learned of humans who had risked everything to protect them. Pilots trained to follow the example of those who had faced the Vorath. Engineers, medics, and leaders studied human tactics and strategies, hoping to emulate the adaptability that had saved countless lives. Humanity had become a beacon, proof that a small, young species could make a difference when no one else would. The story ends not with a final battle, but with a promise. Humans continued their work, helping rebuild, protect, and inspire. They had answered the galaxy's call when no one else did, and in doing so, they had proven that even in the darkest hours, hope, courage, and compassion could shine brighter than any weapon, stronger than any empire, and more powerful than fear itself. Humanity had stepped forward. The galaxy had witnessed it, and the future, though uncertain, now held a glimmer of possibility for all who would dare to hope.